Jacob had 12 sons, but he loved his son Joseph the most. He gave Joseph a special brightly colored coat. Joseph's brothers were jealous of him. They hated him. Joseph also had special dreams. "In my dream, we were tying up bundles of wheat," he said, "and your bundles bowed down to mine." Joseph's brothers hated him even more. Joseph had another dream. "The sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down before me." His father and brothers grumbled. "Are you saying you will rule over us?" One day, Joseph's brothers were in the fields watching their sheep. They saw him coming to see them. They planned to kill him and put an end to all his dreams. "It would be wrong to kill our brother," said Reuben. "Let's throw him in this empty well." So they tore off Joseph's special coat and threw him into the well. Ishmaelite traders came by on their way to Egypt. "Let's sell Joseph as a slave to the Ishmaelites," suggested Judah. So the brothers sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver. The brothers dipped Joseph's coat in goat's blood and showed it to Jacob. "My son is dead," he wept. Meanwhile, Joseph was taken to Egypt, but God was with Joseph. In Egypt, the Ishmaelites sold Joseph to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's captains. God blessed Joseph and made him successful. Potiphar put Joseph in charge of his whole household. Joseph served Potiphar well. Potiphar's wife wanted Joseph to sin against God. Joseph refused, so she lied about him. Potiphar believed her, and Joseph was thrown into prison. In prison, Joseph met 2 of Pharaoh's servants. They each had dreams, and God showed Joseph their meaning. Joseph's explanations came true. The cupbearer was released, and the baker was hanged. 2 years later, Pharaoh had 2 troubling dreams. The cupbearer remembered what Joseph had done for him and told Pharaoh. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph and told him his dreams. God showed Joseph the meaning of Pharaoh's dreams. "For 7 years a lot of food will grow," said Joseph. "So store up food because 7 years of famine will follow." Pharaoh was impressed by Joseph's wisdom, so he put Joseph in charge of storing up all the food. Apart from Pharaoh, no one in Egypt was more powerful than Joseph. Joseph's brothers went to Egypt to buy food. They bowed before Joseph, but did not recognize him. When he saw that they had changed, he told them who he was. The brothers were terrified. "You meant to harm me," Joseph said, "but God used that for good. Bring all of our family to Egypt. We will have plenty to eat." Egypt was filled with Israelites. The new Pharaoh was afraid that the Israelites would become too powerful, so he made them slaves and treated them very badly. Pharaoh ordered that all baby Israelite boys had to be killed. One woman put her baby in a basket and hid him by the river's edge. His sister watched him. Pharaoh's daughter was bathing by the river. She found the baby and decided to keep him. His sister offered their mother's help to care for him. Pharaoh's daughter named him Moses. Moses grew up. One day, he saw an Egyptian beating an Israelite. Moses killed the Egyptian. Then he fled to Midian and was a shepherd for 40 years. Moses was watching his sheep on Mount Horeb. The voice of God spoke from a burning bush. "My people are suffering, Moses. I have chosen you to free them." "I can't," Moses cried. "I'll help you," God promised. "Throw down your staff." Moses did. It turned into a snake. When he picked it up, it was a staff again. "Put your hand in your cloak," God said. Moses did. He looked. It was covered with disease. When he did it again, it was healed. "Show Pharaoh that," God said. "I'm not a good speaker," said Moses. "I'll give you the words," God said. "Your brother Aaron can help." So Moses went to tell Pharaoh to set the Israelites free. Moses and Aaron told Pharaoh, "The God of the Israelites says you must let his people go free. Otherwise, bad things will happen to you." But Pharaoh would not listen. So God turned the water in Egypt into blood. No one could drink it. Then he filled the Egyptian houses with frogs. Frogs were everywhere. Still Pharaoh would not listen. So God filled the skies of Egypt with gnats. They covered the people like dust. Then he struck the land of Egypt with flies. Still Pharaoh would not listen. So God killed the animals of Egypt: horses, donkeys, camels, sheep, cows, and goats all died. Then he covered the Egyptian people with sores. Still Pharaoh would not listen. God sent hail to crush the crops of Egypt. Their barley and flax were destroyed. Then he sent locusts to eat what fruit remained. Still Pharaoh would not listen. So God sent darkness over the land. But again, Pharaoh would not listen. God said, "I will kill every firstborn son in Egypt, and all the firstborn of the animals. My people must kill a lamb, eat it, and put its blood on their doorposts. I will see the blood and pass over their houses. Those children will not die. You will call this Passover and always remember it." The Israelites obeyed God, but the Egyptian firstborn sons died, even Pharaoh's son. Finally, Pharaoh listened. He let the Israelites go. After Pharaoh's son died in the 10th plague, he let the Israelites leave. They were near the Red Sea when Pharaoh changed his mind again and chased after them. When the Israelites saw Pharaoh's chariots, they were terrified. But God told Moses to raise his staff toward the Red Sea. God sent a strong wind and parted the sea. A dry path appeared, and the Israelites walked straight through the Red Sea. There was a wall of water on each side of them. They arrived safely on the other side. Pharaoh and his army followed them into the sea. God told Moses to stretch out his hand. Then the sea rolled back again, and Pharaoh and his army all drowned. God led his people through a wilderness. He fed them and gave them water. They camped at Mount Sinai, where God told Moses to meet him on the mountaintop. Surrounded by fire and smoke, Moses climbed to the top, and God came down to meet him. Then God gave Moses the 10 Commandments on 2 stone tablets. Don't worship other gods. Don't make idols. Treat my name with respect. Treat the Sabbath day as a special day. Respect your parents. Don't murder. Be loyal to your husband or your wife. Don't steal. Don't lie. Don't envy people or what they own. Now, the people knew how to obey God.